We could dim those lights down to, what is it, 40%?
This is 25. It's already there.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You're looking for the ambiance again?
I don't know.
It's very relaxing.
Oh, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait till the misters come on.
Yeah, we're
it
going to
could
break
be
out the hoop
bourbon.
in just a second.
We have aromatherapy too. The scents are going to start coming
Oh,
around.
it's amazing.
It's called Sean.
Yeah.
No, Sean. I'm out. I'm out.
Lone Sean.
I am out. All right, here we go.
All right, so it's the first half of the Dudes Like Us podcast. It's May 20th. We have a special guest. We're super excited. We've got tons of history we're going to be learning today. I'm super excited about it. You
Me
guys
too.
pumped up?
I'm pumped, man.
Chuck, thank you for showing up and being engaged. Dudes Like Us, I'm Sean.
I'm Paul.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Barry Brenniger.
There you go.
Very nice. Welcome to the podcast. We're
Thank you.
happy to have you, man.
Glad to be here. We're drinking bourbon. You know, it's kind of my favorite bourbon is come over to your all's house. You open up your liquor cabinet. It's free.
There you
There you
go.
go.
It's
The
no
best
better
kind.
bourbon than free, right? Excellent. Excellent.
Somebody else's bourbon is always the better bourbon, you know?
It always tastes better.
It does.
And we pride ourselves on our collection. So for those first-time listeners out there that have not heard the Dudes Like Us podcast before, we're a collection of dorks, essentially. We're average guys in our mid-50s, and we've been friends for a really long time. And it was just something that we fell into, and we had some extra equipment laying around, and we just started investing in it and building it. And next thing you know, we're doing this thing, and we're just shooting from the hip. We have no idea what we're doing, and we're just having fun doing it. Regardless whether this podcast goes anywhere or not, we have fun doing it. Of course, we
do.
want to go somewhere eventually. I don't know if we're ever going to get the Joe Rogan status, but God bless.
That's the goal.
That's the goal for
That's the
sure.
goal.
Wouldn't
Joe
that be
Rogan.
cool? I'm in.
Nice.
Yeah. So, we talk about anything that we endure or go through life, thresholds, just normal stuff, taking the kids to school, college,
Childhood memories.
just anything. Growing up in the 70s, 80s, some of them 60s,
Aging parents.
some 90s.
Yeah, aging parents and what that means and brings to your
Skipping
life.
school, drinking
Skipping
bourbon.
school.
Yeah, drinking whiskey,
Yeah.
bourbons.
Playing hooky.
Horrible,
Yeah.
horrible decision making.
Yeah, and everyone has their own version of what that was, and we just kind of and plus, we go through different things too. The medical conditions in life, and the changes that you have to make as we start to get physically and emotionally more mature.
Yeah.
And taking testosterone and just whatever works for each individual. It's crazy.
Don't forget the mysteries of the universe, crystal skulls,
Yeah.
and,
Right.
and
Yeah.
things
We
that
like
are
to
underneath
dive
the pyramids.
Yes.
The crystals.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Well,
Sean's-
there's all
Sean's
sorts of
big into
things that we can.
And I think another interesting thing is there's yes, we're all three guys in our mid-50s, but we all have very distinct childhood.
Yes.
Sean was a military brat. Paul is an illegal alien from Cambodia.
Nice.
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 Somewhere
Yeah.
over there.
Wow.
I think it's from Cloud City or
Yeah.
Cloud.
And I lived my entire life in the same small town in Ohio, out of Ohio, just north of Cincinnati. So,
Also illegal, right?
yes, illegal. Yes,
Nice.
illegal.
Yeah, and it turns out Jeff was hanging out in the bowels underneath the city, or he was
Yes.
hanging out in the sewer system. That was a thing growing up for
Yes.
him.
Yeah.
And we can't wait to hear your story, Barry.
It's very similar.
To all of that.
So you're also
I'm hanging
from
out.
Cambodia, huh?
Yeah, from Cambodia.
Nice. All right. Well, let's dive into it. So
Well, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah.
How often do you come to Texas?
Texas is probably one of the states that I visit most because it's its own country.
Pretty
So
much, yeah.
I'm going down to Houston, Southeast Texas, Dallas. I was in Austin a couple of months ago. I love the barbecue. God,
Oh, yeah.
when I come here, I'm just like, can we just go to the best barbecue? Oh, that's it. Oh, no, I go to another one. That's the best barbecue.
Right.
Well, there's a Hutchins
Yeah.
a mile and a half from here right now.
Love
which is
it.
quite possibly one of the best
Yeah, it's
in
good.
Texas.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm going there this trip.
Shout out to Hutchins.
Yeah,
It's
seriously.
tasty.
Yeah,
Definitely
very
tasty.
All right. Well, we're excited to have you on here. I'm gonna let you wind you up and let you kind of talk. We're gonna poke holes in your stories and
Okay.
and kind of there's because look the Jeff had brought up some factoids about RD1 Spirits and how it got its name, and
Yeah.
we've all individually did some research on you and some of the history. Not
Nice.
necessarily you, but the whole company as a
Sure.
whole.
Sure.
And me personally was turned on to RD1 Spirits from the Amburana one.
Yeah.
because it's got such a unique taste. I
Yeah.
fell in. I don't want to say in love with it. What a
No, you did.
fake, But it was like one of my favorites instantly. Got to have it on the shelf.
Yeah.
Oh, it's totally
know?
unique to any others right now. And like I said earlier, we're at the point where we're like, we need to try other Amburana bourbons,
Yeah.
and we can't find any.
There's not a lot.
There's
Yeah.
one
Lasso.
we found. Yeah, well, we that's what I said, and they make that. We haven't tried it, but from what I've heard, it's nothing close to what you're putting together.
Yeah, I think the key is restraint. You want to give influence, but you don't want to over influence it.
Right.
You had anything over influenced, and it's not pleasing. And we can certainly talk a little bit about the exotic woods that we use. RD1 Spirits, registered distillery number 1 out of Lexington, Kentucky. It was the first registered distillery from 1865. We started the brand in January of 2020 to write that next chapter and then to help bring bourbon tourism to Lexington because people come on the Bourbon Trail. Have you guys been on the Bourbon Trail?
I have, yeah.
I just got back, and we didn't hit Lexington.
All right. So next trip, you got to hit Lexington. Lexington is on the Bourbon Trail, and part of the reason that we started this brand was to help drive that bourbon tourism to Lexington, Kentucky.
Right.
That's good, yeah, because if my wife and I went up there. We only had 2 days, so we didn't have a whole bunch of time. But we ended up, it's a standard in Bardstown, right?
Yeah.
And we just kind of sprayed from there. And then I'm from Cincinnati, and then we drove up to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Now, if we were to go to every single distillery and just take your time,
Oh, that'd take a long time.
how long would that take?
A long time.
Like a month?
Well, there's 60
yeah.
distilleries that are on the Bourbon Trail.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah. and you can't do more than, you could do 3 a day. That's too many. You think about it. When you go to a distillery,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
sampling different samples. 2's probably the maximum.
And you're there for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
About maybe
Yeah.
2 hours if you're really just loitering in the gift shop and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, true.
So one a day.
2.
I-
I'd say you do 2. 1 in
2.
the morning.
Yeah.
Two.
Well, we could probably do 3 ourselves. We're expert drinkers,
Right.
but as a rule,
Yeah, but if you're going to be there for a week, and you're hitting 21, 3 a day, good
Yeah.
Lord.
you better
it's
you
a
better
lot.
get the patch and that liquid IV. You
Yeah.
Liquid
better
IV.
you better be all
A
prepared.
defibrillator.
Yeah.
A nurse on call.
And I tell you what, they're not big highways. You're going down country roads.
Yeah.
And Kentucky's hilly, and you're doing this kind of thing. So you have to be prepared for that as well.
It's,
Yeah.
it's beautiful country,
It
man.
is.
We complain about the traffic in Lexington. Rush hour is about an hour and a half, and it might take us 10 minutes instead of 7 minutes to get somewhere. And I come down to Dallas or Houston, I'm like, holy crap, man!
Yeah.
This is nothing like Lexington.
Well, even here in Frisco,
Uh-huh.
I just assume it's going to take me 20 minutes to half hour to get anywhere.
To get out of the town.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to get out. And
What the hell?
It's ridiculous.
It's called too many people in too confined a space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people get out of here, man.
and I think it's
It's too late, man. They're taking over.
And there's more coming,
yeah.
I can tell you.
Yeah, it's
I drive every day. I've kind of recently gotten out of corporate. My wife hates when I say it. I'm semi-retired, and I drive school bus for the special needs kids right now.
Oh, nice.
Or I'm about to, and I drive all day through the neighborhoods here in Frisco, and there's so many apartment buildings going up
Well, yeah.
and houses going up and neighborhoods going up that I just groan because I live here and the traffic is already bad.
Oh, there's
Ah.
multi-hundred dwelling master plan communities north of us, and there's nowhere to go but south.
my
Like,
gosh.
you know what I mean? Like if you don't work from home, you're coming south, which means it's already crazy.
Yeah. And
So-
they're putting in a Universal Studios theme park here.
Yeah, because we needed that.
About 6 miles. About 6 miles from here.
No.
We
Oh
need-
my gosh.
We needed that.
that's
Yeah.
that's like the famous line from the Jim Gaffigan stand-up comedy where he's like, "Well, how many kids do you have? 5 or 6?"
He's got a bunch. He's
Yeah,
got a gaggle.
he's kind of like, he says, what having 5 kids is like? It's like, imagine having 4 kids and you're drowning, or imagine you're in a body of water and you're drowning and someone hands you another kid. It's just, that's kind of like the population up here. It's just like,
Yeah.
why are you doing that to us? It makes something,
Yeah.
because look, this was a desirable place to live.
Yeah.
Being in Collin County here in Frisco, the school systems are great. They've
still
allocated
good.
a lot of money. Yeah, they really are.
Yeah.
But it's just the money's
packed.
getting more and more thin, and and our kids are graduated, so it's like I don't care anymore. I'm done. But we still should be involved in it because we got to make sure they're teaching our kids right, and it's a little frustrating that the money that we make has to go towards the taxes that we're not using. But
yeah, but we
whatever.
also live here. And when we want to go to Home Depot to pick up one little tiny item, we don't want to be gone for an hour and 15 minutes.
Yes. Well, I'm gonna.
So, you know what I mean? So
I'm thinking we're just gonna have to buy the little mini helicopters.
Yeah.
The flying cars, I saw they're going to go on
Amazon.
sale. Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
Order it.
I wonder how Amazon, because, the Amazon drivers are all over the place, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they've got to be dealing with the traffic.
I know
And
I do.
matters. It matters because they've got like 500 million boxes they have to deliver, and they have all these tight timelines. And I mean, I wonder how they're feeling about the traffic.
Well, that's what I deal with.
They've got
We have
200.
tight timelines, and we're in the rush hour
Right?
every day, both times.
You have
So,
Amazon boxes in the back of your bus? Or
Yeah, they're called students.
School kids.
Yeah.
students.
and there's an expiration on those kids too.
Right,
man.
yeah.
You got to get them back stat.
Yeah, I see crazy shit happening every day. These drivers and I've told these guys I sit up high and I can look over at the drivers, and it's the adults who are driving
On their phones.
on their phone
Yeah.
and texting and Facebooking or
Do you
whatever.
ever
else.
honk at them?
No, I'm not driving yet, so I'll
Will
be,
you?
I'll be. Well, I don't know.
Well, how are they doing with the school bus rules? I mean, you put out the little stop sign and you flash
We
those
had-
lights. I mean, these people need to be stopping,
No,
right?
We had someone today blast through.
No.
Didn't even stop.
No.
You take out your sidearm and just start unloading your clip
Well,
on them.
the driver
We're
that
not-
I'm
we're
with
not there
today
yet.
honks, and they recommend not honking because they don't want anything to start, right? But she's honking her horn, and he just blasted right through.
Dude.
Wow.
And that's happened probably 6 times since I've been on it.
I think that
That's
all the
not
time.
good.
for a school bus like that, they should invest a little bit of extra money on one of those foghorn
Yeah.
horns that comes out as like low frequency, and they're like, oh my god.
Well, they record everything. They record the entire inside. They record the entire outside. So all those cars that are passing gets recorded.
No. And they get
Oh,
reported?
nice.
I don't know if they report or not, but everything gets if
they should.
they
They should.
yeah. So I don't know if our admin team reports them or not, if we let them know or not, because we have a way to bookmark
Nice.
the video. And they can go
Nice.
back and say, hey, there is a guy who ran at this part, and they can find it real
You know what
quick.
you guys need
Yeah,
to do?
that's cool.
You guys ever seen the movie Heat, where they string out that spiked chain across the road
Oh, yeah, just
and it
drop
blows
it.
out all the tires?
Mhm.
You need that.
Yeah.
You got to deploy that, and then it goes boom, 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 boom,
And then
the car.
then it pulls back
It's like
in when we're
Go
done.
gadget.
Yes,
thing.
exactly. It pulls back in, and then
Spike
their car.
stick.
Speaking of pulling
Yeah.
back in, let's dial it back in. Barry, walk us
See,
through.
ADD.
Well,
all
walk
over.
us through the RD1. So you I want to know your involvement with RD1.
Yeah.
How did you get started with it? We could talk. Actually, you could take it from the history of it, but
Mhm.
what's your involvement?
Yeah, well, I first want to say that I've got a sales guy that I worked with down here a year and a half ago, and John he said, Barry, don't beep at anybody, don't blow your horn at anybody because we're all packing here.
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Bad idea.
don't do that. Bad idea. So
As long as
Right.
you have a bigger gun.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
Or
so
body armor?
Yeah.
my involvement with this brand, I'm the co-founder. So me and a few other people got together, and we love bourbon. And I followed this club around called the Lexington Bourbon Society, and fell in love with the industry. But the first event I went to was with Jimmy Russell.
Oh, yeah.
With Wild Turkey.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a rock star. I mean,
Yeah.
this guy, you go and see Jimmy, and we're all just a guy of, oh my gosh, this guy, we want him to sign our bottles, and so again, fell in love with the industry. This was before COVID, and so we wrote a business plan in late January or late 2019, and we pitched to the University of Kentucky football coach Mark Stoops. Mark is a Division I football coach. Loved the story, loved the liquid that we had at the time, and he said, "I'm all in. I'm going to give you what you're asking for." And fortunately, the next day, I met with an angel investor, Mike Tedderton and Marcia Couch. They've started serial entrepreneurs. They've started 40 companies worth tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And Mike said, "You're not asking for enough money." And I laughed at his face. I laughed at him, but then I came to my senses and I said, "Wait a minute. He probably knows a thing or two about business."
Probably, yeah.
So we brought him in, and so from January of 2020, right during COVID, we had a product on the shelf in October of 2020 during COVID. So to have a product, you have to buy liquid, cost of goods, corks, bottles. You have to have a still. You have to have it installed, a lease agreement. You have to have the local government inspect you.
Oh, boy, yeah.
State and federal, ABC. And we had a product on the shelf in October. And then 3 months later, Mike's words came ringing true. We're out of money.
Right.
And so we
Yikes.
went back to the investors, opened up all the books and said, here's where we are. And so they looked at it and said, we're going to go forward. We're going to take over the company, but we want you to come with us. And all the other co-founders were, given a buyout. They're gone. And so I came with them. Now I've got ownership in it. I'm the national brand champion. I get to go around and do fun things like this. They have to stay back at home and sell and take care of business. But I've got a dream job. I don't feel like I work a day in my life, although I work very hard. I'm traveling 42 weeks out of the year.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
I absolutely love the business. It is tough. It doesn't matter what business you're in right now. You better be proactive. You better understand your customer avatar because it's changing. That customer demographic is changing, and you better be able to change with it. You better be able to price your cost of goods appropriately. Otherwise, you're going to get left in the dust.
Yep.
I mean, so I again have a dream job. RD1 Spirits. We started just to pay honor and respect to Lexington's first registered distillery, but then write that next chapter. And that next chapter is what more can Kentucky bourbon do with wood finishing?
Right. So that's your focus, is finishing in different exotic woods.
That's exactly
your focus.
Right. Yep, it is. It is.
So how did you, or I guess you say you're distilling your own product. Is that correct?
So this is we sourced our product initially from Green River. Jacob Call, if you all know Jacob Call, 8th generation master distiller, he was the one that laid the barrels down that these bottles came from. So all of our product came from Green River at that time. Jacob left, and then when they were bought out by Bardstown Bourbon Company, he left and established Western Kentucky Distilling Company. And my partner, Mike Tedderton, is a 49% owner in that distillery. So Jacob's laying down all of our new make.
Nice.
And what we're doing with our wood finishing is we're taking that same mash bill and we're just finishing it with different exotic woods.
And your own rick houses and stuff like that?
Yep. So we have rick houses.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You're finishing it in exotic woods. So walk us through that process. Is the barrel itself the exotic, or are you putting staves in there, or mixing up lids, or?
Great point. So, our cost of our bottle is $69. If we used a secondary barrel, a secondary cask, that price per bottle would be $100. So we're using the existing American oak barrel, and we're putting those staves in that barrel, and we're tasting everything to finish. So, what we had talked about earlier is, the Amburana, it's got a nice balance. It's got a nice balance because we don't over-influence it. We put that wood in there, taste to finish. Once it gets to the point where it's not over-influenced, but it's got the right influence, we take those staves out, put it in a bottle.
Is there a standard time frame where you say, okay, normally 3 months, 6 months, or is it all location?
Yeah, some of that's proprietary. We don't really talk about it, but think about it. If we're in the summertime, the liquid expands. Different equation. So we got to be more on it during summertime than we do in the wintertime.
Regarding charring, do you char your staves?
Yeah, so great question. The most of the staves that's virgin wood. Some of them are toasted. Some of them are just the plain wood.
Really?
Yep. Yeah, the Amburana, for instance, if you've seen Amburana wood, the way that we use it, I mean, I've seen barrels, I've seen people age whiskey in Amburana barrels, and I'm like, oh my God, you put that in the barrel, and it's going to be over-influenced in a matter of days.
It'll almost be, just you can't even drink
it.
Yeah,
there's a strong, I mean, you can definitely tell there's a strong influence of the Amburana in this.
Huge, and it just staves. That's amazing.
Right. And the whole barrel would be, like you said,
it's over the top.
Yeah, and some of the woods that
or
are
maybe
used,
not. I don't know. Have you done it?
Done the barrel?
Yeah. Have you just experimented?
No, we never would. Now we've experimented with a blackberry wine cask. We've experimented with a Dunkel beer cask. So we have done some experimentation, but by and large, it's wood staves going into the existing American oak barrels.
Interesting.
All right, so are you getting the barrels directly from Green River, or you have your own barrels that you're putting Green River's distillate in, and then you're putting your staves in? Like, how's that work?
We've got a secondary company that I'm a part of, and we've got 32,000 barrels in our inventory.
Nice.
So when RD1, the company, needs more inventory, we move it from the holding company into RD1 Spirits.
Okay.
But if you look at most contract distillers, they've got wholesale barrels, and then they have brands. So Green River, Bardstown Bourbon Company, they have a lot of brands under their umbrella, but they also do contract distilling and wholesale barrel sales. That's part of the bourbon industry. I mean, you've got to be able to make revenue on the labels as well as the barrels.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So, tell us about your footprint. So how many rick houses do you have, and are you growing, expanding? Like, what's the future look like?
We've got 2 rick houses in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky.
Okay.
And so Lawrenceburg is just about 20 minutes away from Lexington. We have a rick house in Nicholasville, Kentucky, probably no more than 10 minutes away from downtown Lexington. Those are the areas where we've got our new make and our aged barrels, and then our barrel finishing. So we're doing the barrel finishing in those rick houses. We just opened up a new distillery in Lexington. So that just opened up last week.
Okay.
We had our ribbon cutting and our VIP event, and it is so nice. This location is in downtown Lexington on Main Street, and the property, the area is called the Commons Lex, and that is going to be a new entertainment district for Lexington. So we've got a distillery district in Lexington on Manchester Street. Just a mile away, we've got on Main Street this entertainment district. There will be a 2,000-person capacity amphitheater right across from where our distillery is.
Oh, nice.
You guys do pickleball?
Not yet. We're not old enough.
It's on the list. We're not old enough.
Yeah, we're not old enough yet.
Yeah, I'm in that age category now. So we've got the largest pickleball court that's being built right there, and so we're going to have 2 different pickleball tournaments a year where people from all over the U.S. are going to come in. And so
very nice.
20 Airbnbs.
So how is it? Pickleball's 2-on-2, right?
No,
I don't know.
I think it's typically. Yes, 2-on-2. You're right.
It is. Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking.
11 on 11.
Holy shit! Man.
I'm thinking ping pong.
So way off.
Two people. I don't know.
It's 10-on-10.
I think it can be. It's just like tennis.
It's not your brothel.
It can be just. It can be singles and doubles, just like tennis.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of like table tennis meets tennis.
It is totally.
Well, now that you guys are open, I definitely want to stop by and see this because your place looks absolutely very, very nice.
It does.
It's absolutely beautiful.
It's super incredible. It's an immersive experience. So when you come there, you know, if you want to do the typical tour, we've got different kiosks that you can see how it's made. You can see, you know, the finished product. You can see our wood finishing. And then we have a wood science lab that you can come in and meet with our research and development master distiller, Jared Gollahue. Dr. Gollahue, he's got his PhD in wood maturation. We lovingly call him Dr. Wood. Dr. Wood's in the house. It's funny.
He plays with his wood a lot.
Yeah, it's
Dr.
funny.
Woody, huh?
Dr. Wood. Dr. Wood.
Lots of good jokes there.
Yeah,
I
know. And typically when I say that in mixed company, I just kind of look and wait and see people snicker.
Yeah.
It's a great, but again, this guy has his PhD in wood maturation. He wrote his thesis.
What is wood maturation?
Well, so he wrote his thesis paper on how American oak and the wood taloses that occur in that wood affect the distilled spirit. He is a smart guy. I mean, he will nerd out on you if you want to take a deep dive into the wood piece of wood maturation.
I'm always curious on what to use, what not to use. Is it some of this stuff poisonous?
Yeah, so you gave me a couple of things that are walnut wood,
right?
And thank you, great gifts. A keychain, a magnet. There's two types of walnut. One is black walnut, poisonous, will kill people if we would finish that, and then the other walnut. So we haven't experimented with that yet. When you gave that to me, I sent Jared a message. Hey, do we have this in the hopper yet? He's like, not yet. We're not using black walnut. Berry.
Okay, so yeah, good note.
Is that black walnut the same as Brazilian walnut? Is that the same thing?
We have to ask Dr. Wood. I don't know. I'm not going to bullshit here. Here,
So-
I'm not gonna throw the
yeah, not yet. Hold on to that challenge flag.
hold on to the
All
challenge.
right, so Chuck, on the website that we have pulled up, is Dr. Wood on there?
He is not. No.
He's not on the thing.
Go to the people. Yeah.
Yeah, here's the who's who of everybody in
There he is.
RD1.
There he is. Jared Gallahy. Look,
There he is.
Look at him.
Look at that.
All right.
He's a young
Master blaster.
buck. Young buck.
Now he is clean shaven,
Yeah.
and you are not. So you don't even have time to shave because of all this travel you're doing.
I don't shave. I let it all grow out. Now I can't grow it on the top of my head. I think there's some kind of gene that you have where you're either bald or you keep your hair forever. I have the gene that I lose the hair on the top of my head.
Right.
But I'm compensating here on my face.
Nice. So we don't have video, but for our listeners, it's about a 6-foot beard.
Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah.
So funny. I came and got my rental car, and the girl looked at me and she's like, "I'm getting Lord of the Ring vibes here."
Yeah, that's very good
shall
enough.
not pass.
Oh, just sign your agreement, then you can pass.
Now you're trying to grow it like a comb over type thing over top.
Excellent. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I can go both ways.
Yes.
It's an
Easy now.
extremely impressive beard. And you said you've been growing it for 3 years, which I'm jealous because if I tried to do that, it would not happen.
Yeah,
So,
I've got a really good girl, Allison, at the Rooster's Nest in Lexington, Kentucky. She trims my beard. Great girl, young, and she knows. I'm just like, Allison, we're just trimming. We're letting it grow. She's like, I got you, Barry.
Nice. Okay, well.
What does she exactly trim? The bottom?
So,
I mean,
Yeah,
I guess.
how do you trim a beard like that?
she has this whole process. She takes this buzzer and she makes it to where it's
Come down to a point.
Yeah. But she just levels it off at the bottom. Good girl.
Does it drive you crazy sometimes? I mean,
No, I mean when I'm traveling, I'll usually put it, in a ponytail. But when I'm out, my wife says when you're out and you're on TV or you're presenting, you just want it to be out and in all its glory.
Oh yeah.
Well, if you're well bearded, it looks great.
it does.
I've tried to get a beard, and I can grow a beard, but I got mine long, and I couldn't handle it. I don't even know how long I got. It definitely wasn't that long.
Well, didn't you say you got it caught in some rafters?
Yeah, well, I did like construction, and I'm climbing up through there, putting lights and just doing all kinds of stuff, and shit would get stuck on. Yeah, like there's they had Douglas fir big beams up there, and here I am like installing shit, and it's getting stuck, and when you pull a hair out of your beard, shit hurts.
It hurts.
It's like pulling a nostril hair out. You get a little
It's
weepy,
like childbirth.
Yeah.
Well, I thought the issue was you were losing a lot of your lunch. Like,
Oh yeah. Well, he was just saving it for later.
Yeah, well, it's a flavor saver.
I mean, you were like, shit. Where did? Oh, damn it! I lost.
So I want to get back to the woods that you're using, because I know you have a LTO coming out on. You want to talk about? And I'm very interested in it as well.
Yeah.
Can you speak to that and kind of what the flavors are going to be of this one?
Yeah, so this LTO is an 8-year Kentucky straight rye and a 5 and 7 year Kentucky straight bourbon. It's at 102 proof. It's been extra finished in Mizunara wood from Japan and French oak from France. We lovingly call this sister cities because Lexington, Kentucky has a sister city in Japan and one in France. It's 1,500 six-pack cases going to the whole U.S. market. I do know Texas is going to get about 150 cases of it. It's only $69. And the flavor profiles, if you can follow me here, that 8-year rye gives really nice floral notes. It's a mature rye. And then you've got this French oak. And I love French oak. I think French oak is a great wood finisher because it brings a sweet kind of baking chocolate component. But a lot of people get wood tannin. Some people are really sensitive to the wood, and it comes off wood to them. But it brings a sweet component to this blend. And then the Mizunara wood brings spiciness. So Mizunara brings some sandalwood. There's a little bit of a Japanese incense on the finish.
Nice.
So it's balanced. From the aroma to the finish, you're getting sweet, floral, spicy. It is a very well-rounded pour. Already won gold in the New York International Spirits Competition. It won 95 points there.
Oh, nice.
I think it's going to go on to win some major awards, but it's going to be here and gone. So
when does that come out now?
It's already bottled, and we've got our distributor. Our distributor in most states is RNDC Republic, and same here in Texas. But the supply chain, you just can't tell. I can tell you it is registered. They have submitted a PO. That timeline could be 4 weeks. It could be 6 weeks before it gets to the market.
Barry, how do we get a bottle of this?
You might you might know a guy. You might know a guy.
Help us out here.
Yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk.
Okay.
You definitely.
We'll pay for it. We're not asking for anything for free. We just want the God bless him bottle.
Right.
It's good, and what we've had today so far. I think we're getting ready to drink a pretty high proof, but this one at 102 proof, it's crushable.
Right.
When's the first time that you opened a bottle and you shared it with people and you damn near drank the whole bottle, or you did drink the whole bottle?
Yeah, well, because it's crushable.
It is
100 proof.
Yeah.
When it's 102 or even hell, we had 115, 120 proof that was crushable because it's just like it doesn't even taste this strong.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you stick a straw in there and you're like. It just goes down like nothing. It's
Sure. Yeah. I think the last bottle we killed was the Michter's 10.
Yeah.
Oh, that one was terrific. It went down so easy.
It was good. It was very
Yeah.
That was
Crushable.
And we couldn't post that one.
Yeah.
we
There's no
couldn't
proof
post
of
it. Because we were.
And that was some of our best material too. It didn't go well. Yeah. It unraveled.
And there were a lot of good things in there, but equally the opposite.
Yeah.
Yes. Unpostable.
We don't want to get into it because I won't be able to post this.
Yeah.
Right. We're not going down that rabbit hole.
He turned the place into a brothel.
So, are you allowed to talk about some of the other things you're working on that may be coming out?
Yeah. Let's see. My team, they're like, Barry, you can't say this. But let me hold on.
Anyway.
Do it anyway.
Hold on. Let me think about this.
We can have a couple nuggets.
We are so. Typically, we do a couple of allocated releases a year. We did settle on an allocated release for the fall. It's gonna be incredible. What I love about Jared, our master distiller, is that he is in this research phase. So I mean, we've done some wood finishing that you ever go into somebody's house and they've just cleaned it from top to bottom with Fabuloso. You come in, you get this aroma of oh my God, it's a cleaning agent.
Yeah.
We did some wood finishing, and I'm like, that's Fabuloso. That's not a good flavor profile.
No.
So we've done some funky stuff.
You had some aged Glade in there.
Yeah. But a lot of these exotic woods are made with cologne and perfume. So you could get some weird off notes that are just don't belong in a whiskey.
Sure.
But what I love about what we're doing is we're wood finishing, and then we're blending the two different wood finishes together to create like that, the sister cities, that Mizunara wood and the French oak. It is incredible, and the key to
now, is it the same way though? Is it with staves?
Yep. So we do staves, and right now in probably 95% of everything we do is staves,
and it's working.
Yep.
Yeah, because I know
really working.
Iron Root Republic in Denison, Texas, they mix it up by using the lids, the tops, bottoms.
Okay.
But French oak, they just mix it up that way. They don't use the staves.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious.
I wouldn't think that would be as much surface area kind of absorption.
I don't know,
but maybe.
It would limit it because you're using 360 of that stave that's going in, and the Amburana we're drilling it out, so it's honeycomb drilled, so there's a lot more surface area.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, that matters.
Huge fan of the Amburana. I haven't had any of the RD1 spirits outside of what we're currently drinking.
No, well, we tried all of them down at the Whiskey Riot. The maple one, I'm a huge fan of as well.
Oh, but that whiskey, that was a fucking blur.
Yeah,
I don't even.
I remember the maple one.
There's only so much bourbon that you can drink. Those whiskey festivals,
and we received that challenge of pin.
Well, and I'm recalling you had an outstanding sales representative there. What was her name?
Elizabeth.
Yes,
she's outstanding. By the way,
she is our marketing leader. She lives in Dallas, and so she'll be with me on Saturday at the Whiskey Riot in
Elizabeth Cornelius.
Yeah, hold on to her because she is she's the real deal.
She has chops.
Yeah,
she is really good.
I'm good.
Very lucky to have her.
Yeah, absolutely. We were very impressed, and she was extremely personable, and
she put up with us basically.
She really did.
Tolerated us.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
So
she had fun with us. Is basically we were idiots. Yeah,
that's what we do though. We love going out. We love having a good time, and we love meeting people. We love sharing what we do, just like you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And this is our area.
Yeah,
and we love it. We're excited for you to be here, and we're excited about all the stuff we're talking about.
Yeah,
I am so interested in some of the new stuff coming out.
So let's talk about that. You have some expansion coming out.
So we just opened up our distillery in Lexington. We're anticipating 30 to 35,000 unique visitors a year at that location.
Now, I read that the distillery there is a small one, and you're anticipating about a barrel a week, I think.
Yeah, and it's really R&D.
Yeah, correct.
Just R&D.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pushing us to do some Akvavit so that we can kind of play on it. It's called the Water of Life. It's a Scandinavian. It's its own classification of spirit.
Okay.
And instead of like a gin that has coriander as some of the stuff that's seeped into the distillate, this has more. It has coriander and it's got some unique spirits. And so what that does is it creates this whole different flavor profile. I want to barrel age Akvavit. And then I want to take our bourbon and finish it in the Akvavit barrel.
Akvavit.
Yeah.
How are you saying that?
What?
VEET, like Akvavit?
You know what? I'm going to tell on myself. I went to Bryan Station in Lexington, Kentucky, and we were hooked on phonics. So if you want me to spell anything for you, it just isn't going to happen.
Well, that's why we have Mr. Chuck in our back pocket.
Everybody needs a Chuck in their back pocket.
Absolutely, 100% agree. All right, so is that what it is? Akvavitae?
That's Vitae, Akvavitae.
Is that something different?
That looks Latin.
It does look Latin.
Could be road to death.
But we're fluent.
Scandinavian.
Oh no.
Scandinavian.
Okay, there's an inside joke there, but we're going to get to that in the second half because that was
maybe not.
No, that was the most ridiculous back and forth I've ever heard from these fools. All right, we're going to talk about that in the second half. All right. Okay, so it's
it's its own category
of water.
Water of life.
Water of life.
Water of life is what it stands for.
That's fascinating. And so you're going to try
it's alcoholic.
It is. It's kind of like gin, only it's a Scandinavian clear.
Does it still have the juniper in it?
Wait a second.
No juniper, so it's not real piney.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's
That's good.
You could make it out of potatoes or grain, but it's seeped similar to gin, but you don't use the juniper and the other flavors.
So it's a clear distilled, kind of like a vodka, but you put the herbs, but different than gin, basically.
That's right.
So
Gotcha.
when we had the lovely lady that went through a wine sommelier, she had
Heather.
an interesting bottle. Yes. We had that. She had a bottle at the very end of that had nothing to do with this, right?
It was distilled wine.
Do you remember that? Oh, that was distilled wine?
Correct.
Okay, I wanted to make sure that wasn't something similar because I remember that bottle looking sort of similar to that.
No.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right, well then never mind.
The distilled wine was very, very similar to a port.
It was really, really
And
good.
she said it wasn't a port, but it's a distilled wine.
It was excellent.
Yeah, it was outstanding.
Okay, and so you have something like not similar, but you have something unique.
Yeah, and
that you guys are trying to play with.
Other distilleries are doing it across the U.S. market.
Okay.
So I mean, we're not the only one. But what I want to do is I would love to see some bourbon finished in those barrels that have the Akvavit in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So if I were to ask you, what is something that obviously the staves is something unique about what you're doing.
Yeah.
But what is it that you guys are most proud of? Like something unique or something different or what you're going for, or like what really, really sets you apart that you guys are really, really shooting for?
Well, we're in a category with a lot of other distillers, whether they're legacy or craft distillers, that are looking at innovation.
Right.
I think that the market is just a little saturated.
Yes.
And so
you got to do something different.
You've got to stand out, but you've got to have a good product.
Yes.
You can't just throw something in there, some wood in there or finish in a different barrel and people are going to flock to it. It's got to hit. When we're doing a tasting, we first look at the appearance. We smell the aroma, we taste it, and then we get a finish. There's 4 different parts to consumption.
Yep.
So if a consumer's going into a liquor store, the first thing they're doing is they're looking at that label. They're looking at that bottle.
Yep.
Is that capturing their attention?
And the hue.
All of it, the color, and we can't add any artificial coloring to our distilled spirit.
Right.
So if you see a Kentucky straight bourbon that is then finished in French oak, if it's a Kentucky straight bourbon and it's dark, it's probably barrel strength. It's probably higher proof.
Yep.
If it's a Kentucky straight bourbon finished in French oak and it's dark, then you probably know it's barrel proof or it's also extra aged with wood. And so wood provides 50 to 70% of the flavor that's coming from that whiskey or that bourbon. We're just changing the equation. We're just adding more wood staves. So we're changing that percentage of how much of the flavor is coming from the wood.
Right. Yeah, excellent. Because we've done this multiple times. We've been looking at bottles on the shelf and be like, wow, that's a really light hue.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, regardless of what the proof is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We're like,
Right.
I mean, Everclear is pretty high,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
it's a lot.
Right.
We enjoy rich, tasty whiskeys, and it could be all over the place.
Right? You have to chew those things.
Yeah, but we don't. I mean, me personally, I don't want to speak for these guys, but I personally like mine over 105, 15, 25, 35.
Yeah.
45.
In this progression that
Right.
we have gone through, like we started out buying the $30, $40, $50 bourbons, and we didn't really know what we were buying. We were just looking at price point. We found very quickly that the higher the proof, the richer it is.
Yep.
But it took a while to work up to
did.
that because you just can't jump into that.
No, you can't because we all have a chemical receptor.
Right.
And if you're new into bourbon and you drink firewater, you haven't challenged that chemical receptor.
100%.
That chemical receptor is saying this is a caustic chemical. Get it out of your body. But then after we mute that with drinking lots and
when
lots
we
of
burn off the nerve endings,
when we do.
right?
So that's why I can't throw up anymore. Right?
Yes, that's why.
People are kind of like, they're like, oh, I threw up the other night. I was like, shh, rookie. That's why I've killed that system.
Yeah, that's why I don't taste any of the food I eat.
Can't smell.
I can't smell. I can't eat.
Well,
Anyway.
it's also a detriment because
You want to top off, Barry?
No. I'm going to wait. We've got a high proof coming on the
Yeah.
second.
Oh, the stag.
Yeah.
what I'm.
Yep.
Oh, you gave it away.
Oh, you spilled the bean.
Ruined it.
No one heard me say
No one
that.
heard it.
We all did.
We're
No,
gonna.
I said shag.
Even I
Yeah,
heard it.
yeah.
Even I heard it. I'm hearing impaired, for God's sake.
We used to have soccer yellow cards and red cards up here. I would have thrown a red card at that
Big time red card.
one.
Yeah.
Then he would have challenged it.
I would. I would have.
I was getting ready to.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things when you start getting to the high proof, sometimes what happens is you miss some really good lower proof ones.
Yes.
Because those seem, even though they're good, they're just not as flavorful. You're not used to it, and it's almost like too watery, or it's not as strong. It's not as
It
flavorful.
doesn't have it. But
Yeah.
there's a couple companies that are like Michter's 10 is one.
That's 90
Garrison
95.
Brothers is another.
Mhm.
Those guys have kind of broken the mold a little bit, where it actually does have flavor.
Yeah.
What are some other ones?
But the point is, we started to turn our nose up at like 90 to 95 proof.
oh yeah,
And
Right.
we became snobs.
Yeah.
yeah.
Right? I mean, so you don't want to do that because there are some flavorful, rich, nice hue.
But they're so hard to find.
Yeah, true.
Well, a lot of what I do is I'm tasting for faults. I'm not tasting for flavor. So if I'm tasting something and I'm seeing some environmental contaminants, I'm able to pick that up.
Yep.
And that, to me, that's kind of frustrating because I'm tasting now some really good bottles and I'm picking them apart.
Right.
So instead of tasting for enjoyment,
Right.
I'm bringing my work home, and so a lot of what you see on my bar is going to be really high proof stuff. I like rye. I think we all graduate into a high rye mash bill or a rye whiskey that is higher proof. Some of my favorite bourbons and whiskeys are ryes.
Yep.
So Jack Daniel's barrel proof rye. Absolutely love it. Every store, it's so funny. Every store I go to, I'm looking, is RD1 on the shelf? Yep. Okay, now where's the Jack Daniels?
Really? Nice. Well, that's a huge testament right there.
Yeah, I love it. I love what Jack Daniels does is outside the U.S., people think of American bourbon as Jack Daniels.
Right.
When you go to Lynchburg and you see these visitors, and 1 out of every 3 visitors is from outside the U.S., that tells me we have an opportunity in Kentucky to brand ourselves.
Massive market.
Massive market. We've got to do something to attract people that are outside the U.S. to come to Kentucky and experience Kentucky bourbon. And I've got a trademark that is going to come to market, and I'm hoping that's going to help do that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you're leaving these little Easter eggs that we're going to have to unveil later.
Yeah.
What's the time span on that? When are we going to release this? When is this information coming?
Well, I'm still talking with our team to try to figure out how we release this, but I've talked to the Kentucky Distillers Association president. Everybody wants to bring more tourism to Kentucky,
for sure,
whether it's inside the U.S. or outside the U.S. So more to come on that.
It sounds like you guys are opening up a venue, not just for your distillery, but sounds like you guys are going to have restaurants. Are you going to have weddings there?
Yep.
Large functions.
Yep.
And that is a fantastic. But it's a great thing to do. What a way to celebrate.
Yeah, when you look at what's happening on the Bourbon Trail in Kentucky, it's that experience level. It's the and in the Bourbon Trail. It's bourbon and a 4-star restaurant.
Right.
It's bourbon and an entertainment venue. We do tastings at our distillery now, and we combine different tasting elements so that people that are coming in, that we're kind of, I can say this, we're probably some bourbon nerds. We drink a lot of bourbon.
Sure.
But we can discern flavor profiles. It's that novice that comes in that we're adding different tasting components, kind of like a wine tasting, where we're enhancing, or it's an inverse kind of flavor to what you're tasting, so that the person can say, I get it. oh my God, I'm tasting stone fruit.
Yep.
I'm tasting baking chocolate.
And it's not frying my throat.
And it's not burning your throat.
Because that's part of the problem. So like we've been talking about this. So we I don't know what percentage of the bourbon drinkers, like 10 to 15% maybe like the 115 plus proof, but the rest of the bourbon drinkers are still down at the 90 and the 80 and you have to cater to that, and we don't like the idea.
Hold on one second.
We do not like the.
I apologize, Chuck. Can you do us a favor, please? Can you bring us the bottle of RD1 spirits?
Yep.
I'm gonna pour a little bit more.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, well, you're out. Everyone's out.
Everybody's
and
out.
You know what? And frankly, I don't know what the deal is. Maybe it was a
Right.
hot day, and it's just it's crushable.
It is.
That's what he said. It's crushable.
It's crushable.
Yeah.
All right. So the point I was going to make is that none of us are on board with adding water.
Yeah.
We're just not.
Nope.
We don't like the idea of diluting a wonderful cast strength barrel down to 90 proof.
But we've also heard
But
that adding a drop or two also brings out other notes.
Correct.
As well. I don't know if that's true. We've never actually tried that.
One of my good friends, and I have to pinch myself that, here's a Bourbon Hall of Fame, Freddie Johnson. So if y'all know Freddie Johnson with Buffalo Trace, he is the only tour guide that is in the Bourbon Hall of Fame. And
tour guide.
So he's a third generation
From where?
Sazerac, Buffalo Trace.
Sazerac. Okay,
Yeah.
Buffalo Trace.
So have you guys seen Neat, the Story of Bourbon?
No.
Have not.
Gotta put that on your watch list. You will have a whole different appreciation for
what goes into the whole
bourbon
thing.
trail. But Freddie says don't add water to your bourbon, because what happens is you
Where do you watch that? The Story of Bourbon. I got it here. It's a documentary.
Yes.
2018.
Yep.
Okay. Keep going.
So what he says is, especially for like newbies, women that are doing tastings, he has them take a sip of water.
You had to call out women, huh?
Or guys.
Is this Handmaid's Tale? What's going on right now?
Or guys.
Sailors.
Yeah, sailors.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Oh God.
But what he says is take a sip of water and then take a sip of the pour that you have.
Sure.
And so that's going to help dilute it, but then you're not diluting the whole thing.
Yes.
And then so what you're doing is you're challenging your chemical receptors. You're kind of acclimating them to the alcohol. Then you can go back in and take
That's a great point.
A neat pour.
Yeah, because otherwise you've
changed it. You've changed the proof.
You've tainted the rest of it, right? Not tainted is a strong word. You're not going to have an opportunity to go back to the source.
I like uncut, unfiltered. Let me proof
Amen.
it. Let me proof it down if I want to.
That's
I'm not.
exactly what I say.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's like, why would, and look, no offense to those bottle and bond folks out there. That's important. But to me, no thank you. I will water my own stuff down.
Yeah, because they're trying to cater to
With
the
my
majority
saliva.
of the market. You have to cater. It's about selling bottles, guys.
We're probably 1%. There's 10% that drink above 100, 110 proof. We're probably in that 1%.
Is it really 1%?
1% are those of us that have a collection like you have.
Is that synonymous to losers?
Yes.
No.
Yes, it is.
No, the people that aren't drinking are losers. They're quitters.
Quitters.
They're quitters.
They are quitters. No fortitude.
Yeah,
Dry January quitters.
Yeah. Come on.
Come on.
Your throat is stronger than that.
We're making more.
Take it. Take it all.
Jeez.
Squeal like a pig.
Okay. Wow. That's not where we went. Sure, Sean.
I mean, just,
yeah.
There you go.
quitter.
Oh God. All right. Well, this. You know what? This actually. You know what? I love how we're covering a lot of aspects about how to drink bourbon and what goes into drinking bourbon.
Right.
You're really touching on a lot of it.
Yeah.
Well, we're about to end, I believe, the first half, and I want to actually talk about what we're drinking.
Let's do
We've
it.
talked about RD1 a lot, and this is the Amburana bottle.
So the RD1 Amburana bottle, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, finished with Brazilian Amburana wood, offers a complex and distinctive flavor profile. I don't even know if I want to get into this. I think like Barry should be narrating this.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that it's 110 proof. It is finished to taste. And so for me, this is 50% of our sales across the U.S. market. I have to be a fan of Amburana. I'm an uncut, unfiltered guy, but as a owner and the national brand ambassador, I'm a huge fan of this because
it's a cash cow.
It's driving sales. But so the flavor profiles that you get with Amburana, you guys have had cachaça from Brazil. Cachaça is a rum-based spirit.
Yes.
They use Amburana to finish in it. So you're getting flavors way outside the flavor wheel of a traditional bourbon. So you're getting, I hate to say cinnamon first. You're getting clove, nutmeg, allspice. You're getting baking spices. Obviously, you're getting cinnamon, but it morphs from that initial flavor on the palate to a cinnamon apple, kind of a wonderful mouthfeel, and then it finishes with tropical. Some people get coconut, some people get pineapple. And I'm a huge fan of drink it like you like it.
Yes.
I'm not going to judge you if you don't drink it like I drink it.
Amen.
But there is cocktails. So there's a paper plane cocktail. It has Aperol, Anino, lemon, and the bourbon. It sings in that cocktail.
I bet.
There's another cocktail. We do a rum, Plannery rum. It's a barrel strength rum that we combine with a Tortino sugar, kind of a maple sugar, and then we add rhubarb and Regan orange bitters.
You don't hear that every day.
No, you don't.
It is delicious. But did you guys like rum? Are you fans?
Oh, I'm a big rum.
We're
I'm a big rum
losers.
fan. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not a big cocktail person, but I want to accentuate the flavors in this because we're casting a wide net with these different wood finishes. This one's absolutely delicious. We didn't talk about the oak and maple. We make a barrel strength oak and maple. It crushes a Manhattan. I mean, you do a black Manhattan, a black walnut bitters. Oh my God, it's the best cocktail. If I do a cocktail, I damn well want to taste alcohol.
Yeah.
It has to be booze forward for me.
Absolutely. What's the point otherwise?
That's just me.
Now you have these barrel proofs. Are those widely released, or is it distillery only type of thing? Or
No. I've got. I came to the Texas market. I've got a bag full of barrel selects that I'm going to be meeting with retailers. I'm meeting.
Well, can you go to your car and get those right now? Or?
Can you go get some of those?
Yeah.
So.
Do you have any poll? I mean, can we follow you to the place?
Yeah. I'll give you my where I'm going.
We'll tell you. Yeah.
You definitely
We just need one. We need one for the podcast for sure.
You need one. I'll make sure you guys get some nice samples. I'll make sure to mail you guys some really good samples.
Well, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this Amburana is unique to the point where everyone should have it on their shelves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it's different. It's not a normal whiskey.
Yeah.
It is, to me, it's almost like in the category of a dessert whiskey.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's in the same category as TX whiskey because it's kind of praline
it's
kind of mix,
so
but it is
different.
a little bit.
Yeah.
It's
dessert-like. Yes.
TX whiskey is kind of dessert-like, but this one is like it's a ballsy dessert. It's got that fun, wonderful taste that's not like regular bourbons or whiskeys.
So let me tell you the story of how we stumbled on this.
Well,
so
sweet.
I'm the first one that bought the bottle before we brought it to the podcast, right? And I didn't know what to think. I to be honest, I mean, I poured it and I was drinking bourbon and I was like, this is not bourbon to me. I didn't even know what to think. I didn't like it. I wasn't sure what to think.
Right.
So I brought it to you guys, and they were like, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" I was like, "Well, maybe I need to try it again. Maybe I'm an idiot. I don't know what's going on."
I'm pretty
here."
sure that's what
And
it was.
It turns out I am an idiot.
We're like, this tastes like cinnamon
as
toast
it were.
crunch.
That's what I said.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
So somebody has said that before.
Yeah.
It tastes like cinnamon toast crunch.
Yep.
Like it's very distinctive to me, and I love cinnamon toast crunch. But it wasn't a bourbon to me. So
Right.
anyway. Since then, huge fan.
Thank you.
Huge fan. And we all are, obviously, since we're, crushing it at the moment.
Love that term too. I've never heard that.
Crushable.
It's
Crushable.
Yeah, we're going to be using that.
Yeah.
We're stealing that from you.
Love it.
We're gonna coin that.
Yeah.
Barry, what is your last name again?
It's like vinegar, only BR no V, Brenniger.
Brinegar. Okay.
Yeah.
Vinegar.
Yeah.
Vinegar.
Yeah.
Vinegar.
So I am going to be in Nicholasville
Nice.
in mid-June.
Really?
So I'm going to come see you if you're going to be around.
So
He travels 42 weeks.
yeah,
a year.
yeah. So
in that, how many other weeks are there?
yeah.
How many other weeks are there?
10 more weeks.
We got 10
5?
other weeks. So in June, I just changed. So the first week of June, I'm going to Las Vegas. And then the second week, I'm going to Southern California. And then from Southern California, I'm going to Colorado. So there's 3 weeks straight. I am on the road in June.
Dang.
In June. But you have
But I'm
to.
going.
Does your wife go with you sometimes?
She's going to Colorado. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, she's going to Colorado.
So she
with
cherry picks.
She does. She's like, when can I retire? And I'm like, well, when we make, when we make bank.
When you pass the $1 billion mark.
Right, $1 billion.
Yeah, to the B.
Yes.
But you need to come by the distillery.
I will.
Jared, our master distiller, will be there. He'll take you into the wood science lab. He'll have his white lab coat on, and you guys can experiment. And
100%.
taste through. Yeah, you definitely want to do that.
We'll talk after the
I have
podcast.
Brandon's white lab coat. You can take that so you can bond with him.
I'll fit in.
You just walk in
Yeah.
there.
They're going to be like, we got another wood scientist
Just
here.
go, I'm a
Doctor,
Doctor,
and doctor.
and doctor.
Doctor?
Doctor? Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
Doctor?
And doctor. Well, we miss anyone?
Perfect.
Oh, spies like us. Did it.
We should talk about movies like that in the second podcast, right?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Who the
Yeah.
hell could? Who's going to know that? I mean,
Doctor.
God, what a great movie.
Uh-huh.
Coming
Well,
out-
it's kind of like the overdone. What is it?
Airplane.
The airplane, yeah. And they
Uh-huh.
help us, Chuck. How's it go? Doctor, not doctor, but it's
No,
I picked a bad week to quit smoking pot, or
no. He goes Roger.
You're
No,
Roger.
no.
Roger.
I'm talking about the Roger.
Roger over.
Airplane, airplane.
Overdone.
Yes.
Yes, same thing.
I got a quick question before we wrap it up. I know I did a deep dive into Barry, and you were in you were in the Navy.
Not got.
Yep.
Not got the
What ship were you on?
So I was at 8404. So I was a field medic in the 1st Marine Division. So my sea duty was with the Marine Corps, and spent wonderful time out in Camp Pendleton, California. Did a Westpac, and have ultimate respect for the military. I've found through that experience that I valued an education. And so got out of the Navy and went back, got a nursing degree, and worked in the operating room.
Right.
And then I found out I enjoy talking to people better.
They're not knocked out on the table, right?
Right.
You just sit there talking. They're not responding to
I'm
me.
talking and I'm talking.
Well, we like you even more, man.
Nice.
Well,
Thank you for your service. That is fantastic.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that was going to be my follow up. Is I know you became a registered nurse, and you went into nursing, and you're into surgery.
Yep.
And then kind of walked through. I think you went into sales after that in the marketing. You just kind of worked your way up,
Yep.
and then you got into the situation where we like bourbon. Let's do this thing. Kind of.
Yeah. So the way that it evolved was, got out of the operating room, and then went worked with a medical device company called Medtronic out of Minnesota. Sold medical devices, and then moved over into pharmaceutical sales. I sold compound pharmacy formulations, and I had a market up in Kentucky. It was a thriving market, and you may or may not recall there was a federal judge that got injected with tainted steroids from a New England compounding pharmacy, and it tanked the whole compound market.
Right.
So
it made it seem unsafe for any compounding.
Anything, even if it's topical. So
That's so dumb.
yeah, well, so I moved out of that, and then hopped around a couple of places where I was doing senior living. Started a senior living community from the ground up, and and then I've started my own digital marketing company. So I've got this digital marketing company, and I'm talking to local business owners, and at the same time, I'm following the Lexington Bourbon Society around. Lexington Bourbon Society, it's a social club
Is this something that we could utilize to enhance our podcast?
Absolutely. We'll talk about that more. But so the Lexington Bourbon Society, the first event, I told you I met Jimmy Russell. He's a rock star. He is. So I'm falling in love with the industry. So now I'm talking to local business owners about how important it is for your marketing to be seen, heard, and found online. And these are the things you need to do to reach that customer in that point where they're going to make a decision.
Target audience.
And then after 10 minutes, I start talking about bourbon. and so I've got business owners that are like, you probably should go into bourbon. And so fortunately, surrounded myself with other like-minded people and wrote a business plan, and, we were off to the races.
Yeah. So digital advertising drove you to drink.
It did.
Okay.
It drives
that's
us
all
all.
You had to say. That's all you had to say.
All to drink.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, but it's awesome.
What a great story.
It is a great story, and we're super excited that you came on here. I am. And we did nothing but talk about this all. Usually we're everywhere.
Well, we kind of started out everywhere, and then
you pulled us back. That never happened.
Yeah, usually I'm the
Sean,
one.
You pulled us back. That's the first.
But the second episode, it's off the hook, right?
But look,
typically, yes.
Before we log off, we got 6 minutes left. I want you to go in, because I did some research. Jeff brought it up, the RD1 Spirits, or RD1, where it came from. Is that Rick House #1? Is that where?
Yeah.
The name. Where did the name come from?
So think about in our country's history when we go through the Revolutionary War, and then President Washington wants to get tax revenue from distilleries. And so in the Northeast, it's very flat land. He can overtake anybody that's distilling and saying, you're going to pay taxes. But in the foothills of Kentucky, you
got to find them.
Damn well, you're never going to find us,
yeah.
and we're not going to pay taxes. So the Whiskey Rebellion of the late 1700s stopped any kind of taxation on distilled spirits. It wasn't until 1862 when President Lincoln needs to re-register distilleries to get tax revenue to fund the Civil War effort. So every tax district had an RD1, an RD2, and RD3. We now know after Prohibition that tax designation is DSP, Distilled Spirits Plant, right?
Okay.
So Heaven Hill has DSP #1 because they bought the Bernheim distillery.
Right.
So in 1860, that was the DSP. RD was the DSP in the 1860s. So in Lexington, Kentucky, the first registered distillery was called the Ashland Distillery. The Ashland Distillery. And we didn't want to call ourselves the Ashland Distillery because, number one, we're not resurrecting a distillery. We're not on the same property.
No.
And then the other thing is there's a whole host of issues of calling ourselves Ashland. You have Ashland Oil. You have Ashland Estate. So it was just problematic. But RD helps us tell that whole story. It helps us tell the history of the brand, get recognition for Lexington, but then write that next chapter, which is what we're doing.
So that stands for Registered Distillery.
Very well said.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
It's a great business plan. I mean, I've downloaded, I believe, from your website. Maybe is there a history part on there? You got quite the elaborate history from 65 to 1866.
Well, let me tell you a little bit more. So 1865, Turner Clay and Company start Ashland Distillery. William Tarr grew up in Paris, Kentucky, had ownership in the Chicken Cock Distillery. That was sold, and then he bought the Ashland Distillery in 1871. And then 2 distillery fires later, he rebuilds and then renames it the William Tarr Distillery. One of his partners was T.J. McGibbon, Tom McGibbon. He was the first Kentucky Distillers Association president that was established in 1880. So I have a trademark of a label that Tom McGibbon owned.
No way.
Yeah.
The first KDA president.
That's insane.
It's huge. So then William Tarr starts speculating on the railroad industry. So if you understand our country's history, we were initially moving barrels and goods on riverways and waterways. the train.
Would they literally float the barrels down the river?
Flatboat bottom.
Okay.
Flatboat bottom. And I've got a story. We'll tell it in the second issue. We're going to do storytelling next.
Just do it.
But so
railroad.
So he speculated on the railroad industry and became bankrupt.
Oh.
Then
What?
Yep. So in the 1890s, there was a. Have y'all heard of Old Elk?
Old Elk,
Oh, yeah.
we got
Old
some
Elk
out there.
just got bought out by Midwest Barrel out of Ohio, but Old Elk was owned by Richard and James Stoll and Bonetta. So they were part of the and one of the Stolls was on the board of trustees for the University of Kentucky. So when they chose the blue and white colors, one of the Stolls had a blue tie. And so the board's meeting, and they said, we want the colors that look just like Stoll's tie.
No way.
That's how we got the blue and white
That's
color.
insane.
So then the Stoll and Company bought out William Tarr. And then have y'all heard of the Whiskey Trust? The Whiskey Trust was they were a monopoly. They bought up distilleries all over the region.
In what time period?
This was late 1800s, early 1900s.
Okay.
1902.
Yep. So they bought the William Tarr Distillery through a straw bid that Richard Stoll had. So it kind of had it in his back pocket. He sold it to him. The only time when the Whiskey Trust sold a distillery back was to Richard and James Stoll. They sold the William Tarr Distillery back to them. Then they bought New Hope, Bond and Lillard, Bella Marion. We were RD1 at that point was the largest distilling concern in the state of Kentucky in the early 1900s. Bond and Lillard won a gold medal at the Louisiana World Fair and Exposition in 1904. I've got that gold medal in my inventory.
Are you
No
kidding
way.
me? That
I
is cool as hell.
I got
Dude,
it.
that's so cool.
And I didn't even think they would have a competition back then.
It's crazy.
I mean, it's crazy that they had losers like us back
And it's
then.
probably real gold, too. It's not gold plated.
You check that?
Dude, that's insane.
It is
And you
insane.
just rattled this shit right off the top of your head.
Yeah.
Do we need to call bullshit? Do I need to call the challenge flag?
Challenge me, but I think
He's going to throw it right back at you.
Yeah, amen.
What? So is there
Amen.
like you got to put that picture on the website what that medal looks like?
We've so we do. I'm gonna do. All right, so I'm so excited.
I know you are. You're amped right now.
I am gonna do a dark tour. Have y'all heard of dark tours?
No.
Well, Jeff
Is that where
kind
you're
of
naked?
stirs us into his Iron Maiden sometimes.
Yeah.
Is that where you're naked in the cellar?
Do we need to talk about this next?
Yeah, we'll talk about it
Probably.
next
All
time.
right. All
Yeah,
right.
because Jeff's going to get all excited.
Dark tours.
Yeah, he likes
Whoa.
that kind of stuff.
Throwing shit at himself. here.
You good? Are you good on time?
Hell yeah, man! Let's drink some more bourbon.
All right.
God bless. All right, well, this is the first half of our Dudes Like Us podcast. Shout out to RD1 Spirits. Thank you
Absolutely.
for coming out. Are you going to stick around for the second half?
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Excited about
hanging out.
that. Check us out on Dudes Like Us podcast on Facebook and Instagram, or Dudes Like Us -Woodcraft for those little knickknacks. I think Barry received his little refrigerator magnet.
Yeah, the toxic black walnut.
Yeah, it's
Made
it's
of
not-
black walnut.
Yeah, don't eat it. Don't eat it, though.
That's,
You don't
that's
wanna-
the good walnut.
You don't want to
though.
soak that in your bourbon.
Don't
Yeah, well-
don't use it as a stave.
Yeah, highly recommended the RD1 Spirits Amburana. That's one of our favorites. You got to have it on there. You got different types of drinks. This is one of them. I
Yep.
mean, it should have its own little category.
And
really
it's
should.
110 proof. Are you kidding me? I didn't even realize that. That's outstanding.
Thank you, Chuck, Mr. Producer, for staying on top of stuff. Dudes Like Us, I'm Sean.
I am Paul.
I am Jeff.
I'm Barry.
There you go.
Peace out.